actually, first and foremost, I wanted to congratulate Luke Kuechly on the Hall of Fame. Couldn't go to a more deserving guy. The competitor, the instincts, the playmaking ability, and then the person he is off the field. It couldn't have happened to a better person. So, really happy for Luke.
I guess that's the perfect way to segue. You got former linebacker, Luke, Scott, Thomas, all those guys. You guys are known as linebacker and as defense. What's next in that position?
Yeah, I think, in terms of free agency and the draft, I think that's a position that we're, trying to attack. We're looking for guys that are leaders, that are playmakers, and that are culture fits for us. So we're excited about attacking that and putting the work in.
Dan, speaking of like a segue, the NFL has seemed to undervalue that position with linebackers, off-the-ball linebackers being drafted high. How do you kind of speak to that position value in terms of when that matches with the team?
Yeah, I think the linebacker position is super valuable. That's the guy that's standing in front of your huddle every single play. The D-line's looking at him, the DBs are looking at him, and they're looking at him for leadership. So I think that position right there is super valuable, and it's one that I think everybody should really value high.
How is NIL impacting the mid to late round draft picks, and do you see it as a positive or a potential negative?
I don't really look at the NIL as a bad thing. I think the NIL is actually somewhat of a good thing because it gives us a little bit of a snapshot of a guy, what he's like with money. So from my perspective, it's good to kind of see, like, what did he do with this money? Did he spend it recklessly? Did he go out and, get in trouble with it? So it tells you a lot about somebody. So if anything, I think it's really valuable for us.
Dan.
We'll get right back to Panthers GM Dan Morgan in just a moment. Want to make sure, though, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Free Panthers content all off season, and this week specifically, the Chat Sports team is up in Indianapolis. We're bringing you guys NFL Combine coverage as you need it, whether it's Dave Canales saying something, Dan Morgan saying something, the Panthers ending up interviewing a player that they could draft come April. We're going to let you guys know when we hear that info. Also, per the NFL draft, we'll keep you guys tapped into everybody the Panthers are linked to leading up to late April. Before that, though, NFL free agency arrives. We'll let you know everything you need to know surrounding the Panthers signing players, the Panthers being linked to players, whatever comes through the grapevine. You guys are going to hear about it right here at Panthers Today. Hit that subscribe button and get down in the comments section because it's an interactive YouTube channel as well. We always want to hear from you. Lock us in as your number one spot for Panthers content all off season, and we'll get back to Dan Morgan.
Given Jaro's familiarity with Bradley Chubb, is he a guy that you're potentially going to target?
I don't think anything is going to be off the table. We'll explore that. We'll talk to his agent, but I wouldn't say anything's upcoming. But we'll definitely stay in that, and we'll see where that goes.
What do you know about him and his game?
Know a lot about him. Obviously, when guys get cut, I watch every guy that gets cut. So do the pro scouts. They do a great job as well. So still playing at a really good level. Has had a lot of sack production throughout his career. Just a really good player, and that's something that we'll stay in and we'll explore.
As far as NIL with draft availability, the numbers continue to fall when it comes to underclassmen enrollees. Do you see it as a positive or a negative? I mean, with each draft, that you may have fewer underclassmen because they are staying in school.
Yeah, that's one of the negatives. There's some guys this year that I watched that I wish would have came out, but there's also some that came out. So I think, our job is to just evaluate who's available and go from there. So, we're excited about this draft class, and, there's some really good underclassmen. There's some good, seniors. So I don't really think it matters too much. We just got to evaluate who's at our disposal.
Dan, we haven't talked to you since Icky had his surgery.
Yeah.
Kind of how did that go? What's the timeline, and how does that change the way you're approaching this offseason looking for a tackle?
First of all, the surgery went really well. Icky's doing really good. He's recovering, feeling good. I just talked to him the other day. So he's in good spirits. Unfortunate what happened. obviously, timeline-wise, I don't really have a timeline. You know, we'll see how it progresses. We'll see how it goes. But so far, it's looking good. And you know, as far as the timeline, I don't have that right now. In terms of it impacting the draft, free agency, you know, offensive line is a position that we're always going to be looking at, always trying to upgrade and have as much depth as possible there. So we're just, you know, going to attack that like we usually do.
Dan, you
I
have
understanding you don't have a specific timeline. But in talking with people who've had that surgery, former players, it's significant.
Yeah.
Are you anticipating he will miss at least all of next season?
I mean, I don't know that. I think our trainers have done a really good job with him so far. He is making progress. I don't have a timeline on it. I really don't. But, you know, I'm optimistic that Icky's going to put the work in and he'll be ready, you know, when that time comes.
Dan, staying on the offensive line, last year y'all brought pretty much the entire unit back. This year you got 4 guys in free agency. Is the plan to try to keep everyone together kind of like you did last year, or are you guys open to other options?
I mean, we're talking to all of our free agents, and that includes the offensive line. We're going to stay in contact with the agents, and, you know, we'll see where it goes. But, you know, again, we're going to try to create as much depth and competition as possible there, and, you know, that's with every position on the roster.
Dan, with that said, though, you have a top 3 like payroll for O-line and D-line. How do you kind of share the wealth with other positions this offseason, knowing that you have center open and left tackle potentially open as well?
Yeah, and you know, I think that's a little bit by design too. You know, when I took over this job, the number one thing I wanted to do is make us strong on both sides of the ball, and you know that's never going to change as long as I'm the GM here. So, what was the second part of your question?
Just how do you kind of spread the wealth out, you know, in free agency spending wise when you have such high payrolls for both offensive and defensive line?
Yeah, I mean, we have cap room. You know, there's different ways to create more cap room if we see fit. So we're just going to continue to just add good players to our roster, great players to our roster, and you know, no matter what position it is, we're just going to, you know, try to make this roster as strong and as competitive as it can be.
What kind of trust do you have in the rest of the running back room with Rico Dowdle and free agency? Chubb in that room. We talked about Jonathan Brooks and ETM. What kind of trust do you have in that room?
Got a lot of trust in them. I think Chubb has proved that he can be a number 1 back. He can carry the load, which he has done. You know, in terms of Jonathan Brooks coming back, we're excited about that. His rehab, you know, he's doing a great job with that, making a lot of progress. So we feel good about him. We're happy for him. We're optimistic for him. And then Trevor Etienne, who we drafted last year, we're really excited about him. We think he's got a bright future, and I think he's going to be one of those rising stars in this league. So we feel good about the room, but again, that doesn't mean we won't add to that room, whether in free agency, re-signing people, or in the draft. So we're just going to attack every position.
Where things stand with
I wouldn't say he exceeded my expectations. He was everything that we thought he was going to be. Just a big, talented receiver that can run the route tree. He's got great hands. He's got run after catch. So he definitely was everything we thought he was. And, you know, just like everybody, he's going to improve. He's going to get better. The more experience he gets in our scheme, the more continuity he creates with Bryce. So he's just going to keep getting better and better, and I think the future is bright for him and for our team.
Dan,
Where do things
Scorton
stand?
obviously played a ton this year. That's also one
Who's
of those
that?
Scorton.
Yeah.
That's also one of those positions that has a huge learning curve from college. Like, how do you balance wanting to develop and get them more snaps, but also understanding that a veteran can really do a lot there?
Yeah, you know, I think a veteran, obviously you bring a veteran in who's played a lot of football, that's obviously going to help your team, but we're really excited about our young guys. You know, Scorton and Princely, we drafted them for a reason. We drafted them high for a reason. We think they're super talented guys that can be impact players in this league, and they're going to keep developing. They're going to keep getting better, and Again, I think the future is really, really bright for those two guys, and they're going to help us out a lot.
Dan, John Schneider gave you a lot of credit for your recommendation of Mike McDonald. What do you see there, and does he owe you a couple of beers or something? How do you settle that favor?
No, just helping a friend out. I think, John asked me about him, and obviously I gave him a really good recommendation. Mike's a great guy, great coach, and just really happy for them.
Dan,
The NFL lost a player in Rondell Moore over the weekend after he had battled season-ending injuries. When you think about the impact of injuries on players, how can teams support players psychologically, not just physically, in the rehab process?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. First off, condolences go out to him and his family, friends, loved ones. It's just super tragic, and me being a former player, I'm always trying to help our players out and guide them. I know what they're going through on a day-to-day basis. I went through that myself. I went through a lot of injuries as a player. It's not easy. You feel alone at times. You feel like people kind of abandon you a little bit. But at the same time, that's the advantage I have being the GM of the Panthers, to where I can help these guys out. I understand what they're going through. I'm here for them. And then obviously there's always going to be resources. We have a great psychologist on our staff who players can talk to at any time, and we're just always here to support them. They know we're here for them, and that'll never change.
Is Rico Dowdle on your radar still, or
What's that?
What would you say about Rico and where he figures in your plan?
Yeah, I think with Rico, obviously I love Rico, great guy, great player, had a great year for us this year. I think, in terms of he's earned the ability to go out there and see what's out there for him. There's always the potential that he could come back. The door's open for that, and, we'll see what happens.
Did the Javonte Williams deal make it tougher to possibly bring him back?
I don't think so. I think, it's a case-by-case basis thing. I think Javonte is separate from Rico. It's a pretty deep free agent running back class. So we'll see what happens. And, again, I wish the best for Rico, if he does go out and find something, find a big deal. But there is always that potential. Maybe we could bring him back.
Dan, when we're talking about pass rushing, you've spoken about how the pass rush needs to be upgraded this next year. Where do you start? Does that start in free agency? How focused are you going to be with it in the draft? Obviously, you spent a lot of important picks on it last year. Is it a position that just keep on going after? Can you just kind of speak on that?
Yeah, I don't think you can have too many really good pass rushers. So, the combination of free agency, the combination of draft, there's some good players in both that we're excited about. So we'll see how it shakes out. We're obviously evaluating them. We're putting the work in, and, we'll see what happens.
Is there a concept of you want to bring in a veteran presence to continue the development of Princely and of Neal?
Yeah, there's the potential for that. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, and you never know who you're going to sign or who may want to come here, but all options are on the table right now. I think it's a good point to bring that in. That can never hurt, but at the same time, you can't go chase guys either.
And then finally, can you give us an update on Pat Jones?
Yeah, he's doing good. He's fully cleared. He'll be ready to go next year, and yeah, he's doing great. He did a great job in rehab, putting the work in and getting himself back, and he looks great. And we're excited to get him back.
Dan, you've now done this 3 times as a GM. How is this different for you now than it was for a second time you did it?
I think like the first time you do it, everything's new, right? So everybody's in your face at the podium. It's kind of overwhelming a little bit. So I think like the longer you're in it, the more you get used to it, the more you get comfortable, and you start, just kind of settling into the position. So yeah, I think I'm always going to be trying to learn, always trying to get better with everything I do, with processes, with evaluations, just always trying to get better, always trying to help my staff, and and them doing to me likewise. So just kind of being that servant leader.
Dan, you mentioned the
last
fact-
year you basically got subtracted a spot during training camp because you guys put Jonathan Brooks on the season-ending PUP list. There's some confusion there. Have you talked to the league at all about that whole procedural element where you basically you had 89 guys for the entire year?
Yeah, actually, did bring that up. We're still working through all that type of stuff, but that is something I brought up. Having 89 guys when you know you're going to put a guy down on IR. So I think from a player safety and just keeping guys healthy, I think it would be a good idea to definitely change that.
Do you think you'll propose that potentially as a rule change at the
Yeah, I think it's definitely the potential of that.
Dan, you mentioned you drafted 2 young pass rushers last year, second, third round. Is there anybody at 19 or you guys are drafting that's at their level, or do you see that class of edge rushers?
Yeah, I think it's a really good group of edge rushers. First round, second round, third round. I think it's a pretty deep edge class that we're excited about. And again, if the possibility of one of those guys is there at our picks, we'll definitely consider it. But again, we're always going to draft best available players. So if that's the best available player, then so be it.
Thanks, Dan. We're going to do a scrum in the back.